Hey there, Detroit sports fanatics. I'm Taylor Phillips, and this is the Tigers edition of Taylor's Detroit Sports Show on Blog Talk Radio. Monday, a special night, Monday, June 7th, 2014, at 11 o'clock from 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time to 11:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Questions of the night: are the Tigers going through another tailspin after sweeping the Athletics at home, or is this just another part of a roller coaster? Does Rick Porcello still deserve the final vote to be an All-Star despite his performance last night? His rocky performance, that is. Do the Tigers need to make a trade for a fifth starter and move Drew Smyly back to the bullpen? Are the Tigers going to get Joaquin Benoit back in their bullpen along with extra bullpen assistance? The number to call to voice your opinion is 646-478-4837. You can find me on Facebook, YouTube, Google, and Pinterest as Taylor Phillips. You can like my Facebook page, Taylor Phillips' Detroit Sports page, and you can join Taylor Phillips' Detroit Sports group. To become a more educated and serious Detroit sports fan. And follow me on Twitter and Tumblr at DT2Phillips, no homers allowed. There's also a chat window on blogtalkradio.com on all my episodes of Taylor's Detroit Sports Show for you to comment on with your opinions. So, guidelines. If you have called in, stay on the line. If you hang up, or if you hang up by mistake, redial the number 646-478-4837. This is live, and when it's over, it is archived because it is recorded. You can always listen to it whenever you want to. Then stay on the line. Redial the number and then stay on the line. Keep it clean. Treat the show with respect. If you don't know much about this or any Detroit sports, you can still just listen. And only I can change topics because I'm the head host of the show. Let's go ahead and get started with the weekend review as usual. Tigers started a 3-game home series against the Athletics of Oakland. Anibal Sanchez took the hill against Scott Kazmir, and the first 5 innings looked like a pitcher's shutout duel. The ace struck first, then on an RBI single by Jed Lowry, but Miguel Cabrera of the Tigers tied it at 1 with a solo shot to left center into the Athletics bullpen. Anibal Sanchez tried to make it through 8 innings, but got some non-strike calls from the home plate umpire and gave up an RBI double to Brandon Moss. On came Jabba Chamberlain next, and he got non-strike calls from the ump as well before giving up a 2-run single to Lowry, who finished with 3 RBIs. I explained this early in the season, the K-Zone radar gun. I recommended it to the Major League Baseball umpires. They don't have to check it every pitch. They can only check it when either the pitcher, the catcher, or the batter requests them to do so. They can still make the call on their own judgment firsthand. so that doesn't slow the game down way too much. And then Chamberlain gave up a 2-run single to Lowry, who finished with 3 RBIs. Phil Koch would stop the bleeding. Phil Koch would stop the bleeding by inducing a double force-out 5-4 double force-out ground ball to third base, which almost looked like a triple play. He then induced a ground ball to end the 8th. Very impressive by Phil Koch. Blaine Hardy pitched a scoreless top of the 9th inning to give the Tigers a chance to come back, which they did. Sean Doolittle tried to close it out for Oakland, but he got into some trouble. First, Nick Castellanos led off with a single to close it out for Oakland. First, Nick Castellanos led off with a single to right. Then Alex Avila moved him to third base with a single of his own. Eugenio Suarez struck out swinging, obviously. Austin Jackson then drew a key walk on a 3-2 pitch, setting the stage for Rajai Davis, who had 2 career grand slams going into his crucial at-bat. And on a 1-0 pitch, Doolittle hung a curveball, and Rajai Davis made him pay by taking him deep for a walk-off grand slam down the left field line into the Tigers' bullpen. And the Tigers won 5-4 in the bottom of the 9th. That was Rajai Davis's third career grand slam and first career walk-off grand slam. It was the first walk-off grand slam since Carlos Pena's slam on June 27, 2004. Against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Before that, Lou Whitaker hit a walk-off grand slam on June 21, 1994. Davis's slam was also the first when down 3 runs since Alan Trammell's grand slam against the New York Yankees on June 21, 1988. It was also the first ever grand slam allowed by Sean Doolittle. Ouch. For Anibal Sanchez, he got the no decision, and he has now recorded over 1,000 career strikeouts after striking out just 2 Oakland batters that night. Didn't need that very many then, did he? He has now joined Johan Santana with 1,988, Felix Hernandez with 1,840, Carlos Zambrano, former Cub, with 1,637, Freddie Garcia with 1,621 at 21, Wilson Alvarez with 1,330, and Kelvin Escobar with 1,310 as Venezuelans to reach that milestone. Wow. Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of history there. Also for Blaine Hardy, he earned his first career win in the majors by pitching a flawless 1-2-3 top of the 9th inning. And that was unexpectedly because the Tigers were down 3. Rajai Davis hit a walk-off grand slam. Moving on to Tuesday, Rick Porcello threw his second consecutive complete game shutout, throwing 95 pitches to lead the Tigers to a 3-0 shutout win over the A's. The last Tigers starting pitcher to do that was Jack Morris in 1986. Torrey Hunter with an RBI groundout in the 4th, and J.D. Martinez with a 2-run homer in the 6th. Moving on to Wednesday, Justin Verlander gave up 2 solo home runs to Coco Crisp and Brandon Moss in the first inning. That was the second time in 3 starts at home against the A's that Verlander has given up at least 1 home run and up to 2 runs. That was like Oh my goodness. I'm getting sick of it. Torrey Hunter tied it up, though, with 2 RBI singles in the first and third innings. Austin Jackson put Detroit on top 3-2 with an RBI single of his own. Verlander got himself into a bases-loaded jam in the 6th inning with 2 out, but got out of it on a fly-out to right field on a 3-2 pitch. In the same inning, the Tigers added 6 runs to bury the hatchet, 2 on Rajai Davis's 2-run single, another on an Ian Kinsler single, 2 more on a Miguel Cabrera double, and another on Hunter's 3rd RBI single of the game. Jackson ended up with 2 singles, a double, an RBI, and a run scored. Al Albuquerque gave up an RBI single in the 7th inning to Brandon Moss, who finished with 2 RBIs total, but Blaine Hardy and Joe Nathan each pitched a 1-2-3 inning to seal the 9-3 victory. The win was Verlander's first since the month of May at some date. He improved to 7-7 after giving up 9 hits, not walking anybody, and striking out 4 Oakland batters. That completes a sweep of the Oakland Athletics at Comerica Park. Thursday, the Tigers started a 4-game series against the Tampa Bay Rays, who had swept the Yankees going into that in the Bronx going into that series. The Tigers took the first one 8-1. Max Scherzer went off to a bit of a rough start, like Verlander did, by giving him an RBI sacrifice fly instead of a homer to Evan Longoria in the top of the first. The Tigers wasted no time, however, responding with 5 big runs on 2 2-run homers by Ian Kinsler and Victor Martinez with nobody out, and a Torrey Hunter solo blast with 1 out. They would add 3 more on 2 RBI singles in the 2nd inning by J.D. Martinez and Hunter, and an RBI fielder's choice by J.D. in the 4th inning. Max would almost go the distance. He pitched 8 innings flat, gave up just 2 hits, walked 1, and struck out 7 Rays hitters. Chad Smith pitched a 1-2-3 inning, proving he still belongs in that almost solid Tigers bullpen, who still needs improvement, admittedly. Friday, the Rays struck back with a 6-3 win of their own. Drew Smyly got roughed up again after pitching a good first 2 innings. He gave up 5 runs through 5 and a third innings, including a Ben Zobrist RBI double, and then an Evan Longoria solo shot, and a 2-run triple by Sean Rodriguez. And then Chad Smith gave up the 6-run. Chad Smith gave up the 6-run going an inning and 2/3. The Tigers got their 3 runs, 2 of them off the bat of Torrey Hunter, who grounded out and then hit into a double play. The other came on a single by a returning Victor Martinez, who left the game again in the 8th inning with more soreness in his back and missed the next 2 games, according to the. And some were saying that he could miss up to a week and maybe the All-Star game. But anyway, this is why Drew Smyly just isn't starting pitching material. He just isn't performing that good, and his brutal statistics this year prove more so. Rays took Saturday's game as well, 7-2. Anibal Sanchez was pitching a no-hitter going into the 5th inning when he served up meatballs and gave up 3 runs on a solo homer to Logan Forsythe, a Kevin Kiermaier RBI triple, and a Desmond Jennings single immediately thereafter. The Tigers had runners on 1st and 2nd and 1 out for Andrew Romine, who played the entire game, and he struck out whiffing, and then Rajay Davis grounded out. On to the 6th, Sanchez got himself in deeper trouble with the bases loaded and no outs, and manager Brad Ausmus looked like he was going to make a pitching change at that point with Phil Koch warming up in the bullpen. Instead, he leaves Sanchez in the game and four more runs coming in. 2 more after Ausmus finally brought in Phil Koch, who gave up another 2-run triple to Kiermaier. That was the same mistake Ausmus made when he left Justin Verlander in the game in Chicago about a month ago, when the White Sox exploded for about 5 runs in the 6th inning. That big mistake paid off against the Tigers when Phil Koch could have had a shot to get out of that bases loaded no out jam, and that proved to be the dagger. It was 5-0 before Ausmus hooked Sanchez and put Koch in. And like I mentioned before, Koch gave up the 2-run triple to Kiermaier, in which both runs were also charged to Sanchez. He finished with Kiermaier finished with 2 triples and 3 RBIs, which I admit is impressive. The Tigers didn't make much of a comeback. They only mustered a couple solo home runs off the bats of Alex Avila and J.D. Martinez, who still has been swinging a hot bat and has never let up. On the flip side, Tampa Bay starter Chris Archer almost threw a complete game, but that was because the Tigers hitters altogether were hitting the baseball without skill by hitting the ball right to the opposing fielders and striking out too many times. Their hitting coach, Wally Joyner, needs to address those issues either now or soon, or else there's trouble. Oh my goodness, that's just bad luck. There's nothing we can do. Yeah, right.
What's your problem there, pal? Can't I get a bit of sleep? Don't bug me.
The finale last night on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, starting at 8 on ESPN. Rays took that one 7-3. They struck first for 3 runs right away against a red-hot Rick Porcello with a leadoff double by Jennings, a single by Zobrist, which snapped a 25-inning scoreless streak for Porcello, and a 2-run jack by ex-Tiger Matt Joyce that just cleared the fence and hit the railing post when Porcello hung his changeup to him. The Tigers answered back only with a sac fly by Miguel Cabrera. All those runs together, all 4 of them were scored in the first inning. The Rays would get their run back on a single by Evan Longoria in the 5th inning. They would get another on a fielder's choice ground ball off the bat of Kevin Kiermaier, who has been swinging a red-hot bat, the past weekend. And then Jennings would add even more with a 2-run homer to chase Porcello, who was throwing too many meatballs, obviously. Ian Kroll, who returned from the 15-day disabled list, allowed 2 more singles without getting it out right afterwards before getting yanked. I still think there's something wrong with Ian Kroll. I don't know if it's still an injury or just performing poorly. What do you think? 646-478-4837. You can voice your opinion about anything Tigers. He threw a meatball on each single, both on 2-strike counts. Torrey Hunter would take Price deep for a solo shot in the 7th. J.D. Martinez would do the same in the 9th, but that would be it after a minor threat. Had Rick Porcello pitched a much better game than that, the Tigers would have won 2-0 or 2-1. Pat McCoy was put on the 15-day disabled list with a hamstring injury before that game. When I saw David Price try to pitch a complete game, I thought that the Tigers at that point should take the opportunity to make a big trade with the Rays for Price and then move Drew Smiley back to the bullpen. Is that what you people think? 646-478-4837 is the number to call to either agree or disagree with me. Possibilities are you would agree because the Tigers need bullpen help and a 5th starter. A opinion counterpoints. Of course, the bullpen has been doing so well as of late, but there's still a flaw they're having right now, and that flaw is Al Albuquerque. Albuquerque has given up at least one run in his last 3 outings as a relief pitcher, and I believe he should be the one relief pitcher on the trading block. The Tigers are looking to trade for Joaquin Benoit still, and I believe they should trade Albuquerque to San Diego for that guy, along with Houston Street, whom the Tigers should also get. We'll keep our eyes peeled for that guy. Also, if you think Chad Smith is still struggling on the mound, you're wrong. In spite of all the runs he's given up in his major league debut, he still knows what it takes to keep the Tigers bullpen solid. He proved it by pitching a 1-2-3 ninth inning Thursday and is still improving. He's still got work to do. He's got a long way to go. Non-counterpoints, we all know that Drew Smyly is still struggling this season as the Tigers' 5th starting pitcher. Maybe he's just not the number 5 guy we're looking for, so I'm thinking they should trade someone else for a real 5 starter. I know this is because of the Pfister trade last offseason, but that's not an excuse anymore, isn't it?
I want you here. What's your problem there, pal? Can't a guy get a bit of sleep? Don't talk me.
Imagine the Tigers having 5 aces. So I'm thinking they should trade someone for a real number 5 starter, which might even be an ace, and move Smyly back to the bullpen. Imagine the Tigers having 5 aces again, like they used to when they used to have Pfister. But which is even better than still having Pfister on our team. I'm tired of hearing complaints that we wish we still had Pfister on our team. I mean, seriously, do you have to keep complaining?
I want you here. What's your problem there, pal? Can't a guy get a bit of sleep? Don't talk me.
Complaining about that isn't going to do us any good. Something has to be done. I'd say trade for an ace as a 5th starter and move Smyly back to the relief rotation. Now, here's something you don't know. If a batter hits it's something else in baseball. If a batter hits a ball right to an opposing fielder, that's normally bad luck to you, but I call that hitting stupidity. As a hitter, you have to try to hit the ball past the opposing fielders for at least a single and maybe some kind of an extra base hit. You have to loft one out there in between so they can't get it. That's the advanced objective in the major leagues. It's Major League Baseball. You can't just hit the dang ball and hope you get a hit out of it. Hit the dang ball hard and hope you get a hit out of it. Watch how Miguel Cabrera usually gets his hits. They come with skill. I mean, Miguel Cabrera is Miguel Cabrera, but that doesn't mean that nobody else can do what he does best. Everyone can do it too. I have a fired up segment to share with you right now. We know that Victor Martinez's back is still hurting in his day-to-day, but that doesn't mean the Tigers' offense is powerless without him. Apologize for this. Digging out paper here. Some of you people complain too much. Yes, the Tigers are trying to be cautious with him, but I don't think his back soreness will last for too long, and I do think he'll play tomorrow, and I do think he'll play in the All-Star game next week. Also, despite Rick Porcello's bad outing last night, he has pitched very well overall and could still make it to the All-Star game with a final vote. All you fans have to do is text capital A and the number 3 together, A3, to 89269 to vote for Porcello. That's A3 to 89269. Or you can go to MLB.com to vote for him. The other 4 pitchers up there contending for the same thing are Dallas Keuchel of the Houston Astros, Corey Kluber of the Cleveland Indians, Garrett Richards of the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, and Chris Sale of the Chicago White Sox. Week ahead, the Tigers had tonight off, and then they wrap up their homestand with another interesting series two-game series against the Los Angeles Dodgers in interleague play on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then they wrap up the first half of the season by going to Kansas City to play an important four-game series with the Kansas City Royals in a battle for the American League Central Division lead. Both the Tigers and Royals are still neck and neck for the lead in that division. After that is the All-Star break, which includes the Home Run Derby and the All-Star game itself. And then next week, Friday, the Tigers welcome the Cleveland Indians into Comerica Park for a four-game set, which includes a Saturday doubleheader. And then finally, to wrap up the month of July, they go out west and take on the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. 4.5 minutes left on the show. Let's go to MLB scores real quick. The Kansas City Royals just recently shut out the Rays 6-0 in Tropicana Field. The Indians lost to the New York Yankees 5-3 at Progressive Field. The White Sox just shut out the Boston Red Sox 4-0 at Fenway Park. Orioles beat the Nationals 8-2. Mariners lead the Twins 1-0 top of the fifth with one out, bases empty. The Reds beat the Cubs 9-3. The Mets beat the Braves in walk-off fashion in 11 innings 4-3. The Oakland Athletics and San Francisco Giants are scoreless in Oakland in the bottom of the fourth. One out and a man on second. Diamondbacks lead the Marlins 8-0 in the bottom of the fifth at Chase Field. The Padres, speaking of them, they lead the Rockies 6-1 in the top of the eighth, but in a rain delay. Three more to share with you. Pirates and Cardinals are scoreless top eight. Two outs, runners on first and second. Top nine, Phillies lead the Milwaukee Brewers 3-2 with one out and a man on first. And then the Houston Astros are slugging it out with the Texas Rangers. The Astros right now lead 12-6 in the bottom of the eighth. Just getting underway. Right now in the standings, the Tigers are still in first place at 48-37, ahead of the 46-42 Royals by 3.5 games in the AL Central, followed by the Indians at 43-45 and 6.5 behind. Other Tigers news: Miguel Cabrera, Max Scherzer, and Victor Martinez were selected as All-Stars. Ian Kinsler never came close, obviously, whereas Rick Porcello remains among those 5 other AL pitchers for the final vote, as I mentioned before. Again, you can go to MLB.com to vote for him or text A3 to 89269 on your mobile device. Also, the Tigers are still interested in bringing Joaquin Benoit back to them, and additionally interested in getting Texas Rangers relievers Joaquim Soria, a former Royal, and Jason Frazier, as well as Houston Astros relief pitcher Chad Qualls. I'd say take them all. That's the best thing to do, and that's the objective. Joaquin Benoit, however, is the best of them all. Other Detroit sports updates. 90 seconds to go. The Pistons have agreed on a 3-year, $19 million deal with shooting guard Joni Meeks and signed a 1-year deal with small forward Cartier Martin. And just today they've signed 7-foot center Aaron Gray from the Sacramento Kings and hired Brian Wright as their new assistant general manager. I like Gray. I think he's a beast. He can add more defense to the table and gobble up the rebounds all over the court. His only flaw is turning the ball over too many times, which the new coaching staff, including Stan Van Gundy, head coach and president of basketball operations, can try to work on with him. I also love the hiring of Brian Wright. He brings even lots more great experience in the front office. The Red Wings came up absolutely empty on the first day of free agency, which shows why Ken Holland, their general manager, has gone from great in the past to very terrible now. He has bad selling communication skills. He's the reason why the Wings are no longer a Stanley Cup championship contender. They're all washed up. The Lions already signed wide receiver Golden Tate from the Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks in their offseason, which is better than the Wings not getting anyone in the free agency market. They're still looking for trade options for Buffalo Sabres defenseman Tyler Myers. The Wings can't give up too early. They have to do something. They had to add more defense to their blue line. That's where it starts in hockey. I'll be back Sunday at 11 for the Tigers edition of Taylor's Detroit Sports Show. TTFN, ta-ta for now.